Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting the like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Sorry if you can hear me chuckling there, I just got Poppy sniffing around here. She just smelled some chicken that I ate a moment ago. Now, our first story is coming from the Am I the Arsehole subreddit. It's from a deleted user who says, Am I the arsehole if I don't want to help pay my mother-in-law's cancer bills? Hello, I've come here to ask for advice and opinions because I do not really have anyone in my life other than my kids and husband. I can obviously not ask my kids for advice because they're very young. I'm 36 male and married, 37 male, and we have 2 children, 12 female / non-binary and 8 female. My husband has his own electrical company and makes very decent money. On the other hand, I'm a teacher and my salary is not as big. It's about enough to get help through tough times right now though. My husband's very busy, but he's great. He does laundry and some house cleaning when he can. He takes our daughters on daddy-daughter dates and admittedly spoils them rotten on holidays and birthdays. It's really important to him that he's active in the girls' lives because he never had that. His mother was the only one who raised him. So he cares very dearly for my mother-in-law. However, I really do not. I put up with her because my husband is so lovely. My mother-in-law grew up in an abusive household and will absolutely not get help or check out therapy no matter how many times we tell her. It affects our kids, and whenever she visits, she constantly bullies my daughters. She believes it's normal because she grew up being bullied and being told these things. I shut this down immediately, but she still gets whatever nasty thing she has to say out of her crooked mouth. She comments on my daughter's makeup, weight, how they dress, my oldest daughter's possible sexuality and gender identity. I do let my oldest wear some makeup because she's expressed being interested in the goth community. She also identifies as non-binary and a lesbian, which is completely okay to me. We've even gotten her a flag. My youngest also loves makeup due to wearing it for dance competitions. My mother-in-law also brings her own turkey at Thanksgiving to cut. Youngest's favorite animal is a turkey, so we cook chicken instead. She's caused my daughter to have to go into therapy because of developing an eating disorder. Mother-in-law has drank an entire case of alcohol in one visit that she hid in her room. She constantly spits out my food I make. She peed in the cat's litter box when drunk. She's a horrible guest. I cannot stand this woman, and she's recently gotten cancer. My husband has put aside money to help her fund treatment. I was asked to help pay, but I said no. My husband said I was an arsehole because she's paid for 2 family vacations in the past. She takes care of us. My husband's sister was on my side because my mother-in-law has done the same to her children. However, they don't cut her off though because she's helped them with travel funds to see us. We want our kids to have connections with their cousins. My husband does tell his mother off, but he doesn't tell her as much because he doesn't want to upset her too much. He really does care for this woman because she provided for him all of his life. He can't cut her off. He says it's his turn to take care of her, but he just needs a little extra. I do not want to pay. Am I the arsehole here? A commenter says to OP, stop allowing your abusive mother-in-law to visit. You're failing to protect your kids. You're the arsehole for that. Quoting, she caused my daughter to have to go into therapy because of developing an eating disorder. Now this is bullshit. You have a husband problem. Quoting, he really does care for this woman. Sadly, he does not care enough for his kids to protect them from mother-in-law's abuse. Everyone sucks here because you and your partner fail to protect your kids from mother-in-law's abuse. A commenter says, I think you have 3 issues here that are understandably getting adjusted together in your head. 1, mother-in-law is horrible and really should never be allowed around your children. She's abusing them. 2, husband has a strong bond with his mother. He's free to have whatever relationship he wants with her, but this should be separate from your and your children's relationship with her. For example, he visits her, but not the other way around. 3. Financial question. Husband is asking for money for something that will break his heart if it goes poorly. You need to understand the details of these bills and if they're going to continue getting higher. Mother-in-law may need to go into medical debt, but if it's going to stop them from doing treatment that could end their life, with your husband being so bonded to her and you loving your husband, it might make sense to help. Just don't go too into debt for it. You need that safety net in case something happens to your immediate family. Commenter says, not the arsehole. This woman's own daughter is on your side because this woman is a vile piece of work. Cancer and a sad past doesn't excuse being a disgusting human being. I'm sorry. I accept all the downvotes coming my way, but she doesn't deserve any help from people who she's caused agony for. Giving gifts is the drop in the oasis. That's all. Holidays and money don't wash away her giving her own granddaughter an eating disorder. Another commenter says, not the arsehole. But your problem is not your awful mother-in-law. Your problem is your husband, who not only tolerates her bullying your children, disrespecting you in your home and acting like an animal, but also thinking about his money and your money. If he wants to treat you like a roommate who needs to pay her share, he can forget about you helping with his abusive mother. Roommates don't pay for their roomies' relatives' medical care. But frankly, your husband is not lovely. He's an enabling arsehole who is demanding you pay up to take care of the arsehole mother-in-law he refuses to keep in check. He's choosing her over you and your children. That's not lovely, and no amount of laundry and daddy-daughter dates can change that. They're his kids too. What he does is the bare minimum. And one more commenter says, everyone sucks here. Clearly, she sucks. But you've been happy to take her money to keep connections with her cousins and go on vacation, so yeah, you're an arsehole for not helping her out in a time of need. If not for your mother-in-law, for your husband, who will absolutely see you in a different light forever if you refuse to support him even a little in this. If you value the happiness of your marriage, you should suck it up and do it. This isn't to say that you should allow her to stay in your home or talk to your kids the way she does or piss in your litter box. It's on him to put her in line there. It sounds like she has some serious issues with executive function / mental health, but when it comes to keeping your husband's mother alive, it should be a no-brainer that yes, you'll help. Within reason, of course. Like I wouldn't agree to a second mortgage or anything crazy like that. Hope he adds on the back of that, I couldn't add more than 3,000 characters, but info. We paid for our share of the vacations. To us, family vacation includes aunts, uncles, cousins, lots of people. Mother-in-law paid for her daughter and their family. Thank you for your reply though. Now obviously she raised him, he loves her, and he clearly wants to help her, but I cannot get past the fact that this woman is bullying their children to the point one of them needed therapy and has an eating disorder, and she's still being invited into their home because he doesn't want to upset her too much. At that point, I'd be more concerned about why protecting her feelings is taking priority over protecting their own children. If I was in that position and say one of my nieces or nephews and I heard that they was getting bullied to the point of this kind of stuff, I would absolutely lose my shit. And of course, regardless of what the comments say, I don't blame OP for not wanting to contribute towards her bills. I'm sorry she's got cancer. It doesn't take away from what she's been doing to these kids and the type of person she is. But the reason she's paid for 2 holidays doesn't create some obligation for OP to start funding her medical treatment. Stories with kids, they always bloody get to me because they're the innocent ones in this. They're the ones that's looking up to their adults. But I really struggle with him apparently being more worried about hurting his mother's feelings by confronting her too strongly than about what her behavior is doing to his own kids. Because that is absolutely wild to me. But what do you guys make of this one? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story. Our next story comes from FrikkkieZA, who says, am I the arsehole for not forgiving father after he stole my inheritance? It's 1999. My mum passes away from liver cancer. I'm 25 years old, single child, wet behind the ears and gullible. 80% of my mother's estate at the time, about $16,000, but we're not in the USA, pays out to me. My dad says due to my mum's deteriorating mental health, they had never had time to change her will. The money should have come to him. Can I pay it over to him? I agree because one is supposed to trust your parents. Fast forward about 5 years, and one brief failed marriage later, he finds himself a nice Russian bride. The dynamic changes and he badmouths my late mum at every barbecue, etc. And his new wife is the best thing ever. I move cities, get married, start a family of my own. We chat on the phone once a week or every 2 weeks, but don't go see each other for years. 8 years to be exact. Him and the Russian bride come and visit once, borrow my truck to go to a big national park. I gave it to them with a full tank of diesel. I got it back empty with the light on. In 2023, he sold his house and moved to Russia with the bride. I'm not sure if he invested the house's money locally or if he moved it to Russia. I suspect the latter, so that the bride has easy access to it when he falls over. My now late wife falls ill and passes away last year. I send a message to everyone after she passed away with all the funeral details and what happened. My dad's response, oh now that's bad news. He doesn't bother flying in for the funeral service or anything. He messages me a few weeks later asking if she was cremated or buried. Like, what the fuck? I speak to his sister, a highly educated PhD with many law degrees, etc. We speak about my mum's passing and the similarities to what happened to me. I mention the inheritance. She freaks out. She, being legally qualified, helped my mum with the will in the hospital before she passed away, as she knew my dad would be a douche about the money. I confront my dad about the money, 25 years after he swindled me out of it. He denies it. He then tries to claim the amount was 10% of what it truly was. And with every lie, I bring out what I remember to be the truth, along with evidence. Eventually, I tell him never to contact me again and stop answering his messages. He tries to message me once in a while, but it's more and more random. Turns out that it looks like he has early stages of dementia. A few months later, some distant family contacts us, asking why I have no contact with my father, because he reached out to them to talk, and he seems lonely. We suspect the bride leaves him alone at home because of dementia, because with dementia, he's a handful, and she doesn't want to deal with him. We tell them what happened and they understand. As time passes, his sister is now asking me to forgive him for what he did and to free my soul from these shackles, as she calls it. My reply was from the series Billions. Hate is nature's most perfect energy source. It's endlessly renewable. I have no urge to forgive him, but am I the arsehole for not forgiving? And in some ways, I kind of relate this to the last story. You know, dementia is absolutely tragic and I wouldn't wish it on anyone, but it doesn't absolve someone of the things they did when they were fully capable of understanding their actions. You know, he was being an arsehole before. That's what he is to OP. And this wasn't just one mistake from Dad. He apparently lied to his 25-year-old son at the time to get the inheritance his dying wife had deliberately left to their child. Then 25 years later, when confronted it, still denied it. Minimized the amount and only changed his story as things were produced. The evidence was produced. And then there's everything that's surrounding this as well. Bad-mouthing his late wife. Barely making an effort with his son. And then that response when OP's own wife died. There is a pattern behind this. And the aunt is wrong for trying to manipulate OP in that way. You know, if OP wants to decide to let go of some of that anger for his own sake, then, you know, absolutely great. Good on him. But that doesn't mean Dad gets access to him again. And OP doesn't have to forgive him at all, simply because Dad is now ill and lonely and, you know, unable to repair what he did. It doesn't mean OP now owes him a relationship. As simple as that, really. The top commenter says, not the arsehole. He took advantage of you in a very vulnerable state. You don't have to forgive and forget that, especially since he has zero remorse. Anyone who can't understand that because he's family, I'd ask if they would be okay with someone stealing 16k from them. OP says, and this was 16k in 1999. Imagine compounded with growth, what the value would be now. The commenter says, not the arsehole. You're not shackled by unforgiveness by simply holding someone accountable. Your boundaries are valid. Forgiveness works when someone acknowledges their wrongs and your father is not. Exploited your trust at your most vulnerable moment. Your aunt calls it shackles. I call it damn consequences. Would forgiving him bring you peace or just comfort others? The commenter says, a little bit, but only to yourself. But let's dig in a bit. What do you think forgiveness means? Do you think it means you have to forget what happened, open your heart and your arms and bring him back into your life? Possibly into your home, and act as if nothing happened? Because that's not forgiveness. That may be the actions of some people who choose to forgive, but it's not a requirement. What forgiveness is, actually, is letting yourself let go of the hurt that person caused and taking away their power over you to continue to hurt you. It's saying, this is who you are as a person, this is what you did, and you no longer have that power to have any say in my feelings or emotions. You can put the bricks they handed to you down, and you don't have to pick them back up again. People think forgive means to condone, but what it really does is free your emotions so you have the energy for people and things you care about. Evict the people living rent-free in your head, your dad, and make space for those people who deserve to be there. I like that comment, that's nice, but what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. So our next story comes from the Am I the Arsehole Here subreddit from a deleted user who says, Am I the Arsehole Here for photoshopping my nieces and nephews out of the pictures I posted online? Throwaway account. My female 27 sister-in-law, My husband's sister, female 38, decided about a year ago that she does not want her kids' faces posted on social media. She still posts almost daily family photos, but always with stickers covering the kids' faces. Only posted on social media for special events. My friends list is mostly family and a few friends back home, Middle East. My grandma especially loves logging into Facebook to see pictures of my kids. She often messages me afterwards to talk about them and sometimes even shows the photos to a group of friends back home. She has told me this, and I'm okay with a bunch of grannies seeing the pictures. At my son's 5th birthday recently, I was taking photos. My sister-in-law approached me and said she does not want anyone online to see her kids' faces. I said I understood. Later, she told my husband, male 40, that she thinks it's weird that we're okay with exposing our kids online, and that it is just bad parenting. My husband laughed and said we're not Instagram famous like her since she has quite a few followers, and that no one really cares. He told her to relax. Instead of putting stickers on her kids' faces, I photoshopped them out of the pictures before posting online. My grandma sometimes prints photos and stickers would look odd. Also, my sister-in-law does not want her kids' pictures posted online anyway. My sister-in-law later called furious. She said I was being a vindictive arsehole and that it looked like her kids were not at the party or did not matter. My husband backed me up and said she was overreacting. He told her that I respected her wishes and did not post her kids' pictures online and that I do not owe her an apology. My sister-in-law blocked both of us. My mother-in-law says we should explain the misunderstanding better and just apologize and end this argument. Do I owe her an apology? Was I an arsehole? I just don't get the logic. I don't get the argument behind this. When if OP had left the children in the photos and put stickers over their faces, they still wouldn't actually be visible in any meaningful sense anyway. They wouldn't actually really be in the photos. You'd have a couple of child-shaped bodies with emojis over their heads. Photoshopping them out actually achieves the same fundamental goal that sister-in-law's children aren't identifiable online. If anything, OP's respecting their wish. And the OP is doing it for their grandmother so they can print out the photos and put them in frames on their wall, etc. I've just got this image in my head when I used to look at the subreddit old people on Facebook. And I can always remember this one image of like, I think it's someone's grandma who had a picture on their wall and, had two of the grandkids on there. But the other two had like the little smiling emojis over their face and it was on their wall at the same time. Oh, I used to absolutely love that subreddit. But what do you guys make of this situation? What would you do? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story. Now our next story comes from Mysterious File 9406. And it says, am I the arsehole for keeping my son away from my mum because she fed him custard? Oh, I love custard. My wife, 30s, and I, also 30s, have a baby boy. Last year we flew across the country with him to attend a family reunion and visit my parents. Things were going well until my wife caught my mum, 68, trying to feed our baby custard off a spoon, against two of our clear rules. No sugar before 1 year old and no spoon feeding. We're doing BLW, which stands for baby-led weaning. My wife and mum had discussed feeding boundaries at length for weeks, and our 6-month-old just had started solids. Since our son's birth, my mum has increasingly ignored boundaries. The first issue was her demanding photos at 9 AM, despite our previous ask for no photo requests before 10 AM. Her reasoning: rules don't apply to grandma. When caught with the custard, my wife immediately took our son and left the room upset without saying a word. I stayed behind and asked my mum why she didn't ask first, and she said because I knew you'd say no. I was livid. This showed she knowingly overrode our parenting decisions. Later, she tried to brush it off as sarcasm. My mum's sister, who witnessed it, validated my wife's reaction. The next day, we sat my parents down to talk. My mum initially apologized but quickly backpedaled, changing details. It was a fork, not a spoon. He reached for it. Things got heated. My dad said we were being harsh, and later, my mum claimed my wife screamed at her. Neither of us remember screaming, but we aren't going to gaslight her. We ended the trip early and pulled back communication. My wife, who had been sending daily photos and videos, stopped completely. I now send occasional ones. We tried working on things. My wife proposed an exercise where they would answer questions about their grandparent expectations, and we would discuss them together. We agreed they could attend our son's first birthday if we completed the exercise. They agreed. After multiple reschedules, due to my wife's postpartum struggles, we finally set a time last minute, but my mum refused to get dressed to be on video, saying I called every shot so far, and that she had just listened off camera. My wife felt slighted and revoked their birthday invitation. My mum later gave a veiled threat and then a different excuse, but the damage was done and we withdrew further. After further reflection and therapy, we told them we need them to seek therapy before resuming visits. Their response mentioned the screaming again and uncertainty if this will work out, but instead asked for photos every once in a while. Since then, I've kept casual conversations open, but deflect photo and visit requests until they start therapy. So, am I the arsehole for holding this boundary until therapy happens? Is my wife the arsehole here for yelling or revoking the daily photos in response? For context, they were present at his birth and had 2 good visits where my mum respected boundaries, which made this breach feel even more shocking. A commenter says, everyone sucks here. Initially, I totally understand you guys being upset. However, the behavior around that video call sounds insane. You expected them to give you infinite leeway on rescheduling due to your boundaries, but when your mum said she'd rather stay off video, that's an insurmountable hurdle. If you want this to be the end of your relationship with your parents, you can continue with the mindset you currently have that your accommodations are necessary and hers are unjust demands. But if you'd actually like to mend this bridge, I'd consider acting like people on both sides are humans that deserve some grace. A commenter says, whew, okay, the custard thing, not okay. What baby eats is up to mum and dad, full stop. However, the rest of this sounds like a huge overreaction. Just stick with your kid while you're at grandma's for fuck's sake. It's not even nearby. You don't see her all the time. She isn't babysitting. Just keep an eye on your kid while you're all there. Interviews to assess their adherence to rules and family therapy for a couple of bites of custard? Way off the rails. Everyone sucks here. Grandma was wrong. You and your wife need to take a step back and get some perspective. Relationships with people who love them is so important to kids. So much more important than erroneous bite of custard. A commenter says, everyone sucks here. Should she have violated the custard boundary? No. Did you really need to have a custard boundary? Probably also no. I get it. Parenting in this day and age is tough. It's always been tough, sure, but it's a different kind of tough, where there is literally someone on the internet 24/7, literally from the moment you find out that you're pregnant, telling you how you and why you should be doing whatever is best for your child in this moment. Don't feed them this before this age or this will happen. Make sure you're doing this specific thing in order to promote or prevent whatever the current hot topic is. It's exhausting. Your parents didn't have any of this when raising you. They don't know why things are more complicated than they were 30 years ago when they were in your shoes. Does this make them experts in child rearing? Absolutely not. Should they respect your rules for your kid? Yes, of course, but is it worth damaging a relationship over some custard? Only you can answer this question. I was an arsehole to my mother-in-law after my first kid was born. I was the mum, and I knew how I wanted things to go, and it was all about me and my boundaries and my rules, which were bullshit. She wasn't trying to give my baby meth, for God's sake. It was probably ice cream or a cookie or something I don't even remember this many years later because it didn't matter. I can look back and say with confidence that I strained our relationship and made it uncomfortable for her to be around me. This limited her time with my son, and then she died, unexpectedly. There are only a handful of pics of her and my son because of my unnecessary boundaries, because I cared more about something that didn't end up mattering. You gotta strike a balance, or you risk looking back years later regretting time lost and memories not made over petty things that you won't even remember the details of. Commenter says you're the arsehole. Oof, a lot going on here. Your wife seems to be over the top, it's hard to be on your side. Is she getting help for her postpartum struggles? I very much hope so. Your mum was wrong for the custard, but discussing feeding boundaries for weeks sounds quite honestly insane. A boundary of 10 AM text instead of 9 AM also sounds like a you problem. She's spamming with texts at that time. Why can't you just ignore until it's a convenient time for you? The expectation exercise also sounds over the top, but they agreed. Yet you cancel multiple times, then lose it when at the last minute your mum doesn't want to be on camera. And this causes your wife to uninvite them. Again, I think she needs some serious help. Is this actually what you want your relationship and your kids' relationship with your parents to be? Support your wife, yes, but most of this is just concerning. And one last comment from Practical Primrose who says you're the arsehole. I was really going to go with everyone sucks here because I do think Grandma pushed the boundaries a little too far. But I just kept reading and I couldn't. Maybe Grandma pushes the boundaries because you guys are over the top ridiculous. You get to make a choice about whether your child has a full complement of people who love him. Or you can make a choice to always be right and have everything always done your way. And then of course, cry when you don't have a village. You guys need to reassess. You using your own child to manipulate and punish your mother is frankly quite gross. Imagine your son is a grown-up and he gets mad at you because you swaddled a baby incorrectly, so he decides you've got to go to therapy. Literally stare at your infant child and imagine him telling you that. Meanwhile, you're thinking, but I swaddled you this way and it was perfectly fine and you were perfectly fine. What is happening right now? Now, I'm going to turn this one straight to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being here. And hopefully I'm going to see you in the next one. Take care and much love.
Wake up, get up, stretch my legs, eat some breakfast, milk and eggs, brush my teeth up, wash my face, throw my clothes on, start my day. Wake up, I can smell the smoke from the bacon. Let's go, see the sun shining from the windows. Okay, I know that today'll be a good day. Okay, I know that today'll be